Right now, you can tear open a bag of chips and feel it instantly. That sharp little spark on your tongue, the crunch, the urge to reach back into the bag before you have even finished chewing. Or you can twist a salt shaker over dinner without thinking, or glance at a nutrition label, see the word sodium, and treat it like a warning written in tiny print. It feels ordinary because salt is everywhere now. It is in bread, soup, sauces, deli meat, frozen meals, fast food, snacks, and foods that do not even taste especially salty. In many modern countries, the salt shaker is not the main source anymore. The salt has already been built into the food before it reaches your hand. But for most of human existence, salt was not an invisible background ingredient. It was not a cheap white powder sitting beside the stove. It was not guaranteed. It was something the body needed. The landscape sometimes refused, and human intelligence had to find. So what did ancient humans do before salt was everywhere? The answer is not just about taste. It changes how we think about craving, hunger, preservation, trade, and the strange weakness hidden inside modern abundance. Because processed food did not invent the human hunger for salt. It found an old survival mechanism and surrounded it with opportunities it was never designed to resist. Most people imagine ancient humans eating whatever they could catch or gather, living so close to hunger that flavor barely mattered. Salt, in that picture, appears later, a civilized seasoning, something for kitchens, markets, armies, and empires. But that picture is too simple. The story of salt begins inside the body, long before it becomes a trade good. Sodium is essential to human life. Your body uses it to help regulate fluid balance, nerve signaling, cell function, and the electrical language that lets muscles move and brains respond. Without enough of it, the body begins to fail in ways that are not poetic at all. Confusion, weakness, dangerous shifts in fluid, broken signals between cells. Ancient humans did not need the word sodium to understand that some substances mattered. A hunter in a hot landscape, losing sweat, a mother nursing a child, a group moving for days across dry ground, a person recovering after illness or blood loss. All of them lived inside a body that could feel imbalance before it could explain it. The craving came first. The chemistry came later. But salt access was never the same everywhere. Coastal people could get sodium from marine foods. River and lake communities could depend on fish. Groups eating animal tissues, blood, organs, or certain plants had different routes. Others lived near mineral deposits, salt springs, brine pools, or places where animals gathered to lick the earth. Some landscapes gave salt quietly. Others made humans work for it. Imagine a small group moving through a forested valley before agriculture, before supermarkets, before ceramic jars of table salt. There is no label telling them what their bodies lack. There is only fatigue, thirst, memory, and attention. Someone remembers where deer scrape the ground. Someone has seen animals return to a bitter-tasting seep. Someone knows that certain water is not good for drinking, but valuable for something else. This was not random wandering. It was environmental literacy. Ancient humans survived by noticing patterns modern life often hides from us. Where animals went, which stones stained the lips, which spring tasted sharp, which season made bodies weaker, which food restored strength after heat and exhaustion. Salt was not just found, it was learned. That matters because the human appetite for salt is not just a matter of preference. Researchers studying sodium appetite describe it as a biological and behavioral state, shaped by need, learning, hormones, taste, and reward. When sodium is scarce, the body can make salty substances seem more desirable. A flavor that might seem harsh in one condition can become intensely attractive in another. In an ancient world, that was useful. Craving could guide a body toward survival. It helped turn attention toward mineral sources, animal foods, salty water, or preserved foods at moments when sodium mattered. The body did not wait for a spreadsheet of nutrients. It used desire. It made need feel like wanting, but desire has a memory. If a substance was once rare and important, the nervous system does not necessarily treat it casually when it becomes abundant. This is where the story begins to darken. A craving shaped by scarcity can become dangerous when the scarcity disappears. The first evidence is written in biology. Health authorities still describe sodium as essential for plasma volume, acid-base balance, nerve impulses, and normal cell function. That is not a small role. Sodium helps hold the internal C in place. It allows messages to travel through the body. It keeps the flesh electrically alive. Ancient humans did not know this language, but every heartbeat depended on it. Picture the body after a long day of heat. Sweat drying on skin, mouth rough, muscles heavy, the world narrowing into thirst. In that state, salt is not decoration. It is not cuisine. It is part of the system that lets water stay useful inside the body. The implication is simple and brutal. Before salt was a flavor, it was a boundary between function and collapse. The second evidence comes from craving itself. Modern psychobiology does not treat salt desire as a random liking. The review by Morris, Naw, and Johnson describes mechanisms that promote and maintain sodium intake, especially when the body or brain learns that salty taste answers a need. Salt appetite can be tied to reward, memory, and physiological state. Now imagine an ancient person tasting something salty after days of movement, sweating, or limited food. The taste would not be neutral. It could feel like relief arriving through the tongue. That sensation teaches. The body remembers what restored it. The mouth becomes a map. A craving becomes a survival instruction written in sensation instead of words. The third evidence appears in archaeology. At Poiana Slatinai Lunca in Romania, archaeologists Olivier Weller and George Dumitroia described early Neolithic exploitation of a salt spring, one of the earliest known cases of salt production. People were not merely stumbling across salty taste. They were returning to a place, handling brine, and organizing labor around a mineral resource. Try to see that scene without modern romance. Steam, wet clay, smoke. Hands stained by mineral water, people gathering around a spring that mattered enough to remember and revisit. Salt here is no longer only a bodily need, it becomes a place, a reason to gather, a resource that can be stored, shared, perhaps exchanged, and woven into settlement and social life. The fourth evidence comes from Al-Kidai in central Sudan. At this Mesolithic site near the White Nile, research by Maritain and colleagues identified strong evidence that fish were salted for preservation in the 7th millennium BC. The important detail is not simply that people ate fish, it is that salt helped turn a temporary catch into food for later. This is a different kind of intelligence. A river gives fish today, but tomorrow is uncertain. Salt changes the timing of food. It lets people push nourishment into the future. Imagine fish laid out, handled, treated, stored. The smell of water, flesh, smoke, earth, and mineral. Preservation is not just technique. It is a human answer to fear. That is the part modern life makes easy to miss. Salt was not only taste, and not only chemistry, it became a technology of time. It helped bodies keep fluid, helped food resist decay, helps communities imagine a future beyond the next successful catch or hunt. When salt entered storage, it entered planning. It turned survival from reaction into preparation. This does not mean every ancient group lived in desperate salt hunger. That would be false. Human environments were diverse. Some groups had easier access through animal foods, aquatic foods, coastlines, or mineral springs. Others likely faced more serious constraints. The deeper point is not that salt was always absent. It is that salt was never meaningless. Modern food has reversed the problem. Today, in many processed food environments, people do not have to seek sodium. Sodium seeks them. It is placed into products for taste, preservation, texture, and consistency. In the United States, the FDA notes that most sodium people consume comes not from salt added at the table, but from processed, packaged, and prepared foods. That fact changes the image of the salt shaker. The visible salt is only the part you can see. The more powerful part is hidden inside the system. The bread that does not taste salty, the sauce that feels normal, the snack engineered for another handful, the restaurant meal where sodium is already part of the design before your appetite enters the room, and your body enters that room carrying an ancient brain. It does not understand the supermarket aisle as a technological environment. It does not know that the bag of chips was built by supply chains, food chemistry, shelf stability, marketing, and industrial flavor design. It only knows the old language. Salt means something important. Salt means restoration. Salt means the body may need this. The mechanism is intimate. Sodium homeostasis is the body's attempt to keep internal balance. Thirst pulls you toward water. Salt appetite can pull you towards sodium. Reward circuitry helps mark useful substances as worth repeating. Memory connects taste with relief. In an ancient setting, these systems worked inside friction, distance, effort, scarcity, season, risk. You had to walk, search, gather, fish, process, or trade. Modern life removes the friction, but leaves the wanting. That is the mismatch. The same body that once used craving to survive a landscape of limits now faces food built to be immediate, cheap, and repeatable. The craving is not stupid. It is old. The environment is new. This is why the story of salt is not a simple warning about eating less. It is stranger than that. Salt helped keep humans alive. It helped bodies function. It helped fish last beyond the moment of capture. It helped communities gather around springs and brine. It helped build habits of storage, memory, and exchange. So the real lesson is not that ancient humans lacked technology and modern humans finally solved the problem. The deeper lesson is that salt itself became technology. A technology of the body. A technology of preservation. A technology of settlement. A technology of the future. It was not merely something humans consumed. It was something humans used to negotiate with uncertainty. The twist is that modern life solved salt scarcity so completely that it turned an ancient strength into a vulnerability. A craving that once pushed people toward survival can now pull people through a processed food environment where sodium is constant, hidden, and easy to overconsume. The body did not become broken. The world around the body changed faster than the body could forget. Go back to the bag of chips. Look at the salt on your fingers, the fine white dust left on the skin. The nutrition label folded into the back of the package. It looks small, harmless, almost empty of history. But inside that taste is sweat, thirst, animal trails, salt springs, river fish, storage pits, smoke, labor, memory, and desire. Modern life gave us safety, sanitation, medicine, refrigeration, long-distance trade, and food security on a scale ancient humans could not imagine. That matters. Hunger is not romantic. Scarcity is not wisdom by itself. But comfort has a strange shadow. It can separate us from the conditions that once taught the body when enough was enough. The next time salt flashes on your tongue, remember, you are not tasting only flavor. You are tasting an ancient instruction written for a harder world. The technology changed. The craving remained. We did not lose the need. We lost the limits that once gave the need its shape.